Good morning, students. We have already learned about sentences, its part, and its type. So today we'll have a quick recap of the same. So let's get started. What is a sentence? When a group of words arrange in a certain way that they make a complete sense. Here, one thing we need to remember that sentence give a complete sense. A sentence always begins with a capital letter and ends with a full stop, question mark, or exclamation mark. Let's have an example for the same. Now look at this group of words. Singing, the, carols, children, are. These are not arranged in a proper order because as we mentioned, a sentence always begins with a capital letter, ends with a full stop, and it should convey complete sense. Now let's try to arrange it. The children are singing carols. Now this is giving a complete sense. Now here we are on the second segment of our chapter. A sentence has two parts. First, subject, and second, predicate. Subject is the first part of your sentence, and it tells us about the person or thing that the sentence is about. That means subject is the first part of the sentence that we need to remember here. And second, subject is the person or thing that we are talking or discussing about. The second part of the sentence is predicate. And predicate gives us the information about subject, like what the subject is doing and the object on which the action is done. Now here we need to remember that predicate always have a verb and an object. Predicate always has a verb and an object. Let's have an example. The rat ran into its hole. Here, the rat is your subject because we are talking and discussing about the rat in this sentence. And ran into its hole is your predicate because as I mentioned, predicate consists of a verb which is ran and an object which is into its hole. Let's move on. There are two types of sentences. Here we are talking about positive and negative sentences. A positive sentence is a positive statement and is also called affirmative sentence. Now, what do you mean by a positive statement? Positive statements are like general statements. For example, they will travel to Goa. It's a simple positive sentence. She is speaking the truth. Few more examples. I am going to school. I am teaching right now. Next is your negative sentence. A negative sentence is a negative statement. And as the name suggests, it has words like not, never, and no in it. For example, they will not travel to Goa. Here it was a positive sentence, and now we are talking about a negative sentence. She never speaks the truth. That means the girl never ever speaks the truth. Now we'll discuss about the kinds of sentences. So let's have a quick recap. Sentences are of four types: declarative, interrogative, exclamatory, and imperative. A declarative sentence is also called assertive sentence, which is a statement that gives us information. It always ends with a full stop. That we need to remember. Declarative sentence always ends with a full stop. For example, Seema is my neighbor. Now we are talking about an interrogative sentence. An interrogative sentence asks a question. And when we are asking a question, it ends with a question mark. For example, who is your neighbor? Next is imperative sentence. Imperative sentence includes command, request, or advice. It also contains instructions or directions. Let's have few examples. Leave the room at once. This is a command. Please open this book. This is a request. You should take some rest. As it suggests, it's an advice. Next is your exclamatory sentence. As you must know, exclamatory sentence expresses a sudden feeling. It expresses a feeling of delight, surprise, pain, horror, when we are in a shocking situation. So, an exclamation mark is placed at the end of an exclamatory sentence. Sometimes it can also come in between of the sentence. Let's go few examples. Hurrah! My team scored a goal. This is a surprise emotion. Ah, I fell down the stairs. This is pain. Next, we'll study about the transformation of sentences. Transformation means when we are changing one type of sentence into another type of sentence. For example, we have been given a declarative sentence, it is cold today. As we have learnt, declarative sentences are the general statement. Now, if we want to change it into exclamatory, we can say, what a cold day! An exclamation mark. Now, one thing we need to remember here, that even if we are changing the sentence into another form, the meaning should remain same. Here, both the sentences are having the same meaning. And in exclamatory sentence, we have not used it or any verb is because they are understood. Next example is wear the cap and stole. This is a general statement, but if we want to make it interrogative, we have to add an helping verb in the starting. A helping verb will be added in the starting of the sentence to make it interrogative. So now we can ask, will you wear the cap and stole? Question mark. Similarly, let's have third example. Pack the games for the picnic. Here it's an imperative sentence because it sounds like a command or instruction. Now, if we want to make it declarative, that is a general statement, we can say, I think you should pack the games for the picnic. Once again, the meaning of both the sentence will remain same. When we change a sentence from one kind to another, we should be careful about their meanings. The meaning of both the sentence should remain same. We also need to be careful about the placement of subject and verb because this is very important. One thing we also need to take into consideration, and that is punctuation marks. As we know that punctuation marks create a lot of difference that can change the meaning of a whole sentence. Now we are in the last segment of our chapter. Phrases and clauses. A phrase is a group of words. Now, we need to remember here two things. First, a phrase does not have a verb. And second, it does not make complete sense by itself. That means, first condition of a phrase is that it will not carry any verb. And second, it will not give you a complete sense. Let's hear a few examples. A funny story. Last evening at the bus stop. Now these words are giving you incomplete sense. Unless we are making a sentence or changing them into sentence, it will not give a proper meaning. For example, I have heard a funny story yesterday. This will become your sentence, which will give you a complete sense. Second, last evening I went to the market. Again, it's a sentence with a phrase which is giving you complete sense. Next is clause. A clause is a group of words again, just like phrases, but it gives you complete sense. It is a meaningful part of a sentence, and one condition is it has a verb in it. Let's have an example. I know Mr. Adams, who is a doctor. Now, the first part of the sentence, I know Mr. Adams, will be your clause. Because as I have mentioned, a clause must have a verb in it. And in this statement, know is your verb. Second part of the sentence is, who is a doctor? Now, this is your phrase. Reason, first, it does not have a verb. Second, it is not giving a complete sense. So, who is a doctor will be your phrase. So, this was our recapitulation, students. Hope you have understood it well. Thank you. Have a nice day.